Yo, what up, everybody? It's AlmightyBlessing. Shout out to the west side of Chicago. We're right here with Chicago Street TV, about to do this dope ass interview. So stay tuned. Check it out.
So I've never done an interview where there's people in the background. Do you want to let us know why is that there's people behind you?
Oh yeah, so these are my bodyguards. I have more bodyguards, but I'm never alone anymore. Not because of the gang culture, and don't think because there's of the gang activity in Chicago. You know, the reality is that my life has been recently in danger because of the police department, the FBI, and the ATF. Unfortunately, when I started doing positive in my community, and I was pushing for the rights of my people and for mental health and for lack of resources in our community, it strung a nerve in the department for the ATF and the FBI to the point where I did a live a while ago in the FBI headquarters because the director of the FBI was supposed to have a meeting with the mothers who recently lost children to police brutality, and he went back on his word and actually went as far as to put security in front of every entrance to a public building, by the way, where we're allowed to walk in at any time during working hours with dogs, guard dogs, to make sure that no mother was able to go in there and have a conversation with the director on having to find a solution to the injustice that's been going on to their children that passed away. May they rest in peace. When I went live and I made it very clear that I was fighting for the rights of our people, they decided to take it upon themselves to show up to my house the next day and tell me that they would advise that I stop talking about things that involved these type of situations with the departments. And they went in plain clothes and they went very deep. They parked in unmarked vehicles in front of my house. They still do this. And to this day, I have been getting harassed. I am currently doing legal action on this because, my life's constantly in danger. So I have to have people with me at all times because it has gotten to that point where they want to get rid of me. And the moment I realized they were trying to get rid of me was the day that they went to my house in plain clothes, no badges, nothing. They told me that they would advise that I keep myself quiet and delete the live videos and the videos that I was recording about them and their department. And then I went as far as to pull out my camera and say, if you're gonna kill me, you're gonna do it now. Go ahead and do it. But I'm not gonna stop pushing for my people and for what I'm pushing for our community. And then they laughed, and then they left me their card and said that I was going to be seeing them around. So I have the card. I don't mind putting it on social media. Uh, I reached out to my manager, which is Chela, and I had her reach out to her attorney, and the attorney told me to send them the card so he could make the call and see who it was because it was illegal what they were doing. Uh, this is what scared me, and this is what my attorney, or who is now my attorney, had told me. He said that when he called the number, uh, that they had told him that the officer that's whose card that belongs to has been on vacation for the last week out of the country, and he wasn't going to be back for the next 2 weeks. So that shows you that they were planning this out, a way to take me out, and having proof that the person that supposedly took me out is no longer in the country. Also, up to recently, some of my guys are witnesses. I've caught the police officers, or undercover officers. I don't know if they're from the police department, the ATF, or the FBI, going through my garbage can, rifling through my garbage, like if they're gonna find something. And I see them, and they witness me see them, and then they walk away. Also, unmarked vehicles standing parked in front of my house, parked in the corner of my house. I'm no longer I no longer feel safe. I feel like the department's constantly trying to find a way to get me locked up, to get me to disappear. And that's why I have my guys with me, because at least there's going to be a witness to witness them take me out. And I'm okay with that. I'm not going to stop pushing for the positivity. I'm not going to stop pushing for my people. And if that takes my life, then so be it. But I'm not going to let them intimidate me any longer. Yeah, I'm from the east side of Chicago by La Comercial. Much love to La Comercial, the very first Mexican community in Chicago. And then I eventually moved where I'm currently staying in La Villita, a little village, the most thriving Mexican community now. So yeah, these neighborhoods are very beautiful. They're lower income, unfortunately, because we do lack resources in our communities, specifically minority communities like our Mexican communities. But the Comercial has a lot of great places, and so does La Villita. The most iconic thing of La Villita is the Arc. The Arc just became a Chicago stamp, a Chicago monument, and it's acknowledged now by the historic museum as a stamp in the city. And what other best stamp to have than our most thriving comunidad latina, which is Little Village. So man, growing up in the east side was hell for me. I when I was younger, I went second and third grade. I went to school in Mexico. So when I came back from Mexico, I didn't know any English. I learned English like late eighth grade, early freshman year. But going to elementary school, I went to Sullivan Elementary in the east side of Chicago by La Comercial. You know, it was mainly black community, and the gang that resided in the community that I would have to cross to get to school was the Gangster Disciples. It was mainly gang affiliated, but they would also be racially motivated in some ways where they would tell, since I didn't know English, they would try to mock me, tell me to go back to my country. They would mock how I would speak, which would always lead to fights. But it was a rough upbringing, and having to deal with my family being gang affiliated and growing up in a gang affiliated home, and then having to cross to go to school it was like a war zone for me. Uh, Eventually growing up, I started living in La Villita willingly because I wanted to fix that community. There's a lot of stuff that's lacking there, like lack of resources that our community definitely needs. And for that community to be lacking so many resources and be such a beautiful community, I don't understand why we're not giving more investments into this community, being the second, right next to the Magnificent Mile that brings in, revenue yearly. So yeah, I mean, La Villita is an amazing, beautiful neighborhood. The people are wonderful, and just the problem is the lack of resources, which ultimately lead to crime and violence in the community. But other than that, I wouldn't change La Villita for anything. I love La Villita. I love living there. So yeah, growing up, I was always a troublemaker. I was always getting into trouble growing up in uh, gang, uh, like a gang influence home. My father being a gang member, my grandfather, my uncles, I was I was brought up in the gang culture, so I was always constantly in danger. I'm still constantly in danger. Unfortunately, I'm currently trying to change that, and having to always get beat up, always get shot at, always being pushed to the edge. I was put, in the hospital one time. They split my head open. They split I got stitches on my chin, on my eyebrow, and my head. They split my head open with bats. I survived. My homies were like, "Damn, that's crazy, bro. You survived. You're a blessing." So they started calling me Blessing, and I just added the Almighty in there. I'm like, yeah, that'll fit my name. The Almighty Blessing, and the way that I'm moving into more of a positive aspect. I thought that best suited me as well. So I wasn't much into the rap game. I loved listening to rap, specifically Chicano rap. Shout out to Kid Frost, somebody that heavily influenced me and my people growing up. I had a best friend, may he rest in peace, Frosty, who actually named himself after the OG himself, Kid Frost. Uh, his dream was to become a famous rapper, and he would always tell me we would always freestyle, and unfortunately he was taken too soon. And as a way for me to keep his legacy going, I decided to take on the rapping role and push the rap and push the music to become a famous rapper just for him. So, to fulfill his dream. So I listened to a lot of old school, being influenced. Growing up myself, it was more like of the house music and stuff. But my family, specifically in the East Side, was more influenced on the Chicano culture and the old school rap. So Big Pun, Tupac, Biggie, Kid Frost, Snoop, uh, Little Rob, Capone, all these old school rappers, and a mixture, black and brown, heavily influenced my perspective in music and my taste. Yeah, so I want to start off by saying shout out to TikTok for making my song a trend and then making it go viral. Without TikTok and also other social medias like Instagram, specifically the food community, and you ain't hard food, all these food pages liking my song and pushing my song, and also Chicago Street TV specifically. Shout out. My song generated a lot of views and started generating a lot of following, and I started gaining a fan base of just oldies because the reason I created oldies was because I wanted to expose the culture, the people to the what we're doing here in the Midwest. A lot of people, when they hear Chicago, they don't know that there's Mexican communities here thriving. So Chicano is directly tied to us being Mexican Americans here in the U.S. and having our own cultura. So I'm like, okay, well, growing up on oldies, growing up on Chicano music, I wanted to give my people a gift, my fans, and that was in the form of oldies. I wanted to show and explore how our city has beautiful sights in our communities and how our Mexican communities, not just Mexican, but Latino communities are thriving in Chicago through the song Oldies. And again, much love to everybody that follows oldies. And I'm proud to say I'm the only oldies rapper in all the Midwest. Not really. When I first dropped it, unfortunately, COVID hit. So when I was about to record the music video, a week before COVID had hit in 2019, or I'm sorry, not a week. It was 2 weeks actually, and they weren't even allowing us to gather in public spaces because of the COVID outbreak. So it was kind of like stopping the music video. And I had already set it for September 16th because it's Mexican Independence Day, and I know that they were gonna do a desfile there in La Villita on 26th Street. So my plan was to shoot the video during the desfile to show our cultura and the oldies video. But they had canceled it because of COVID, and the police went as far as to close off every street on every corner because they didn't want nobody gathering. So I was talking to my manager and my team, and I'm like, man, what am I gonna do? I wanted to do the music video, now it's not gonna happen, man. So then one of my homies was like, man, do it still, make it happen, let's see who pulls up. I told everybody on my social medias, hey, you want to pop up to this music video and be part of the oldies video, because I had already dropped the song and it was already going viral. I didn't know it was gonna, people were gonna show up, because I didn't know I didn't know it was gonna go as viral as it was. I was under the impression it was like two trends that were doing two challenges being done with my song. But then it was a lot of challenges that were being done, and it was trending on TikTok, trending on Instagram. Shout out to the food community and the food pages, because again, the food pages were, especially the food community, was an integral part in pushing the oldie song, and so was Street TV. So every platform kind of had the page that was pushing it. So YouTube was Street TV, Chicago Street TV pushing the oldies. Instagram was the food community pushing the oldies. TikTok was the people doing the trends, and then Facebook we had the Chicanismo today. Shout out to Chicanismo and Lowrider pushing the music. So I'm like, oh, and every platform it was hitting. So I'm like, I gotta drop a video, and unfortunately COVID hit. So I'm like, no, it's not gonna happen. So we still did it. I told my fans, hey, whoever wants to be part of this music video for oldies, come show up. I need luchadores, I need bailarinas, I need people to show support to the Mexican cultura and the oldies, or show up like showing up the Chicano culture. And true enough, we showed up to Under the Arc. We were there for 30 minutes. I was stressing because my manager was like, man, nobody's here. I'm like, nobody's here, bro. We're just going to record this video with just me under the arc. So as soon as I said that, 15 minutes, like after 30 minutes, 15 more minutes passed, people started pulling up. Hey, yo, Mighty, hey, you doing the video? I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh, we here for the video. Some Mexican luchadors from, I think, Pennsylvania. They had came from another state. They heard me on TikTok. They're like, hey man, we came straight from Pennsylvania. Shout out to the brothers too. They're like, hey, we're luchadores. We want to be in your video. I'm like, that's love. Then a brother that one of my brothers, I consider my brother, he brought his Oldies Oldsmobile. He's like, man, bro, I'm a part of a car club. I heard your song. It's fire. My kids love it. My wife loves it. I want my car in your video. I'm like, fire. Then some bailarinas came. They're like, hey, we do Mexican traditional dance folklore. Let's be in your video. I'm like, man, that's love, bro. People started showing up, and a bunch of people on lowrider bikes were like, hey, man, we fans. We from Little Village. I'm like, let's get it. Soon enough, we had like 100 people there. I'm like, wow, 100 people showed up, even though the police was not allowing us to gather. It went so hard that the police department came up and told us to disperse, and I told them I was shooting a music video. The sergeant's like, bro, your song is going viral on TikTok. I heard about you. I'll tell you what, I'll let you guys shoot the video for an hour, but only do it for 1 hour if you take a picture with me. Man, I took a picture with him, and he let us do the music video. We went all out. It went from 100 people to 200 people really easily. Even Univision came and started shooting our music video. Shout out to Univision. The Chicago Tribune came and did a segment on us because we were shooting the music video too. Much love to them too. But yeah, it kind of blew up. I didn't think that many people were gonna show up, and people actually showed up. They loved my music. They're like, man, we're huge fans. We shot it. It went great in the middle of a pandemic. And look, it's still that song's still popular right now. It's still popping. It's still trending. I feel like people see me as the most controversial, you know, Latin rapper in Chicago because I, I started off doing drill music, and drill is very connected to crime, and and trauma. And now the way I'm doing outside of the drill scene is I'm pushing for positive and for helping our community and stuff like that. So balancing both has always been a problem with my fans and people who aren't my fans, that not even my fans, because my fans understand the movement, but people who are seeing me from the outside in, even the haters, trying to find something to bash me with, they don't seem to understand the concept. And I tell people all the time, it's not that controversial. If you look at people who've done it before, for example, Tupac Shakur, he uh, he was doing that. He was doing exactly what I'm doing. He was doing the gangster rap, and he was helping his community and doing stuff in the community. Even though he was talking about killing and murdering and doing all this stuff, that was part of his culture. That was part of his upbringing. Just like me, that's part of my upbringing. Drill music is very much alive in our communities. It is originated in Chicago. Drill is Chicago. So, me being part of my trauma and still being much into the environment that I'm in, uh, I'm just trying to use that as well as to motivate the youth to be able to see that instead of really drilling people out here, you could be using your music as an outlet, a stress reliever, and a way for you to cope with all the trauma and the stress of the community. So, like I said, I am gonna keep pushing the drill. I'm still gonna keep pushing the I don't want to call it gang culture. I call it street tribes. I want to keep pushing the street tribe culture with the music and also the positivity because you know uh, there has to be a bridge because it's so gapped, and it could be bridged in a way where people just use drill to influence uh, the youth of their horrible upbringings. Unfortunately, we come up through rough upbringings. That's why the term Chirac was floating around a couple of years ago, because it was violence, and violence brought more violence, and then bloodshed brought hatred, and then people had animosity against other people because of the lack of resources. It always comes back to mental health and the lack of resources. So yes, I will still keep being the most controversial Latin rapper in Chicago because I'm trying to show people that even though we're still in our trauma, we can succeed and we can make it out. So yeah, I'm lucky to say I'm one of the only Latinos in Chicago to be able to break through the acting industry. It was very hard for me at first, and it was a lot of work and sacrifice. But when I was able to break through, I was started getting featured on shows. So like, you guys can check me out on Chicago PD. I'm also on 61st Street. I'm on Ripple Effects, the 4400, uh, a bunch of other shows. I'm gonna be honest, it's like 8, 9 shows. I just Don't know at the top of my head, but the most featured show I've been on is 61st Street. I'm the leader of a prison gang. Y'all could check me out. I'm in there. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm also in Force. Uh, the show Power. When it ended, it made a spinoff with Tommy called Force, Power Book Force. I'm also in that show. I don't know if they dropped the episodes yet, but I'm the right hand man to the leader of the Diversity Street Devils, the gang. We're tasked to beating up Tommy, and got him tied up and stuff. I'm holding two pit bulls, and we got him in a warehouse about to do him in. But yeah, I love the acting, and I'm gonna keep pushing for the acting too. But yeah, like I said, I'm on 61st Street as the leader of a prison gang. I'm on Chicago PD as the leader of the Tiranos for the Little Village section. So yeah, I've been a lot of featured a lot because of my looks and my tattoos. It's very the actors, the producers would like to get me more involved in their shows. Yeah, I'm constantly on TV. I'm also an activist in the community. I'm the voice of Little Village. More recently, they're calling me the voice of Chicago because I'm doing a lot of stuff with the community. I'm very heavy into the community right now, helping our comunidad and as much as we can. It's all coming from my heart. So I'm constantly on the news stations. Even up to most recently, I was just on Univision. Constantly on Univision, on Telemundo. Shout out to both of those channels, Fox and NBC. I think it's NBC. Yeah. So yeah, I'm constantly on those channels, but mainly on Univision. You guys can check me out every 2 weeks. On the 28th, on 28th of April. Y'all could check me out. I'm gonna be on the news again. I'm gonna be on Univision and Telemundo and hopefully Fox. Yeah, I'm addressing a lot of stuff in our community, the lack of resources, the lack of mental health facilities, how our trauma is affecting our youth, which is hiking the crime rates in our comunidad. See, a lot of people are so quick to judge gang members and gang affiliates for stealing, for robbing, for doing all these illegal activities, right? Selling drugs. What I tell people all the time is they're very much in their trauma, and unfortunately, they don't have the resources. So, me as an advocate for my community and my people, and in Chicago, I'm always pushing constantly for having resources be flooding our communities in order for us to better these situations where our kids don't have to starve at home and have to go outside and steal or rob something because they want to eat. So yeah, I'm very into the activism. That's something I take a lot of pride in. So the news station started calling me the voice of Little Village because I'm a young guy who's a rapper from the community locally. I have a lot of youth that follow me on social media. Majority of my fan base is youth in my communities, so these youth look up to me to see a better way out because they're struggling in the community, and I don't mean to bash on any other rappers because there's a lot of rappers out here that got the platform, they got the ability to make these changes, but they don't. But I'm not that rapper. I'm the rapper that does actually something about our community's problems. So I'm constantly helping, I'm constantly bettering my community any way I can with my people. It's not just me, the people that I'm with that are surrounding me. We're constantly helping our community in any way we can, trying to build resources as much as we can to help our kids. So they started calling me the voice of Little Village because I am bettering the Little Village. I have helped in a lot of campaigns in Little Village, and right now in the process of building programs in Little Village for the kids, so they don't have to worry about, like I said, do anything illegal in order for them to survive. Um, but yeah, that's why they call me the voice of Little Village. Yeah, so I recently just beat a case, a gun case. They had arrested me for. I was fighting that case for 2 years and a half. I beat it. I was arrested for. Unfortunately, the police department profiled me. And for those of you who are my fans and have followed my journey, know that the job that I was working when I first started blowing up on social media, I was a security guard. I was bodyguard, doing bodyguard work for famous artists that would come to the city, or actors or actresses. Um, and while I was on duty as an operations manager for an off-duty agency, they arrested me on duty with my equipment and my firearms, and they stated that I was shooting my assault rifle in a park uh, without permission. And again, I had all my credentials. I had my FOID, I had my CCW, my 20 hours, my 40 hours. I even have a concealed carry. I had a concealed carry to be able to carry a firearm, which is the best way to do it, the legal way. Um, and they decided to take it upon themselves to still arrest me because they felt like it was illegal for me to carry an assault rifle, which it was very legal for me to carry because I was qualified to carry it since I worked in very dangerous environments and I was a private contractor. So I fought that case for 2.5 years. Later, for the judge to grant me uh, the win, they had to dismiss the case because, again, they illegally profiled me. So, just having to battle constantly with the people who are supposed to serve and protect me. They have been harassing me up until recently, still harassing me. And that's something that I'm trying to end now, being an activist and working for my community. Unfortunately, the system failed me and it keeps failing me and it keeps failing my brothers and sisters who are living out in our communities, who are minorities because of their skin color. And that's something that I'm currently heavily fighting for. So yeah, I have been locked, I was locked up because of that. And again, it was unfortunately, and I am seeking legal action. So yeah, I was locked up I think it was the third district police department. When I was locked up, they transferred me to the county. I was in the county for a couple of weeks, and then they released me. They because I was fighting the case, I was able to pay a bond and bond out. But during my time, I was in Division 2 in the county. I met a lot of very talented individuals who were also locked up, unfortunately, for heavier charges, and having to experience uh, their their defeat has affected me greatly because a lot of these brothers and sisters they come from lower income neighborhoods, and unfortunately making a mistake has led them to get locked up and be part of the system. And now they got to defend themselves in the county, or then they get transferred to the penitentiary, and now they're fighting a bigger case because they built that case in there having to protect themselves, and now they're stuck in the system permanently. That's very sad. Yeah, so I appreciate the pages that shared it and made it go so viral, like 22 Jumper, The Breakfast Club, Spliff TV, Toon TV, Chicago Street TV, the Food Community, all the food pages, all these pages that were resharing it and stuff, World Star Hip Hop. I appreciate the exposure, but I was in a different state of mind at that time, and right now I'm so involved and so invested in the positivity in our community and helping and bringing resources to our people in Chicago that that's not even part of my agenda or having to think of. That's not even a thought in my head right now. I just want to stay focused and keep going to pushing positivity. My first tattoo was when I was 9 years old. My dad gave me my first tattoo on my back. He gave me, I don't even want to say it, to be honest. I just know it's a tattoo. I got my first tattoo when I was 9. Uh, and, it was an experience, being a child getting a tattoo. It's quite an experience.
What made you want to get the tattoos that you have on your head?
So the tattoos on my head are more like oriented to my cultura and my ancestry. So I took it upon myself to look into my past and see how far I can get down my lineage and see where I'm connected to. My family comes directly connected from the Aztecas, the Azteca Empire, and I embrace the Azteca culture. Being an Azteca descendant, I wanna embrace the cultura as much as I can, and part of that cultura was the ink. Everybody knows Aztecas were very, very into the ink and putting themselves their war stories on their body as a way to show strength and loyalty to their empire and the building that I would say that history, right? So I see it the same way. I want to ink myself putting tattoos in my head is not necessarily gang affiliated. It's more like making a statement that we're still showing that Aztec cultura, right? I wanna embrace Nahual. Right now I'm currently in the process of learning Nahual. I want to be able to embrace that as well. I want to be able to share that with the youth. Don't be afraid to have tattoos. A lot of people say you're not gonna get jobs when you get tattoos. Well, tattoos are not gonna stop you from having a career job if people are more modernized. It's 2023, you know. Uh, Everybody out here got tattoos. I see lawyers with tattoos. I see judges with tattoos. Police officers. It's not a crime to have a tattoo. I'm sorry. It's been demonized by social media and the media outlets. But in reality, that's part of our culture. How dare we take that part of our culture away from each other? So yes, I embrace tattoos. That's why I'm gonna keep getting tattoos on my head. Next time y'all probably see me, I might have tattoos all over my head. My plan is to fill myself up with tattoos, telling a story, and that's the story of Chicago and our people. Yeah, my mom is from Guadalajara, and my dad is from Guerrero. But my the descendants of my family originated in Cuernavaca and Guerrero. Everybody knows that the Azteca Empire was part of Cuernavaca and Guerrero. I encourage the our people to speak to your parents, speak to your grandparents, see where they're from, and then trace your lineage as far as you can to find your culture, because our culture was burnt away generations ago by the colonizers. And knowing where you're from, knowing where your parents are from, knowing where your grandparents are from is a start. So yes, I embrace being from Guadalajara and Guerrero. Much love to Mexico, much love to Guadalajara, Guerrero, and all the other states.
Have you been to Mexico before?
Yeah, actually, I went to school in Mexico for two years. I went to a school in Guadalajara. I attended second grade and third grade in Guadalajara. I was in a town called Jaramillo. I was there for a while, and then I moved back to the city of Chicago. So, if I can be very honest with you, I do not agree with police reform. The reason I do not agree with police reform is because the word reform means bringing back to its original roots what the department originally was, and the police department that all police departments, if everybody that knows the history of how the police department started, they were the root of them. They were considered slave catchers. Their original task for the police departments were to catch slaves and lynch slaves. So if we're talking about reforming the police, we're technically talking about going back to the time where they were lynching and killing minorities. So no, I never want to talk about police reform. Actually, I want to talk about police abolishment. And we can do that, police abolishment, and then restructure the police department the way the community wants it to be restructured. I would more agree with uh, people call them gangs. I call them street tribes, but I would say street tribe healing, because uh, street tribes, aka gangs, what they call them, the police calls them, even though the police is the original gang. Um, they started to help our community. They started helping the community in different ways, like immigrants crossing over that need a place to stay, uh, food kitchens, and ways to help uplift their community. So, if we're gonna talk about helping somebody, it would be the street tribes. Let's find a way to heal them, because all the trauma is the reason why there's so much violence and so much negative stigma with them. If we're able to heal the street tribes, we're definitely gonna be able to have street tribes protecting our community instead of the police department, who always constantly brutalize our people in our community and terrorize us. Uh, and again, how can you reform something with a wicked root, right? And that's the police department for you. For those of you who don't know, the police department. Yeah, yeah, of course. The first one is Gomez on 31st. Fire food, very authentic. I love it. Y'all should check it out. The specialty there for me would be the tortas. I like the torta de asada with everything, and la del pastor con todo también. The second one would be El Faro, also on 31st. Very good restaurant. Got some very good burritos. They got a Ross burrito, a taco dinner that's fire as well. The enchiladas there are very very popular, so y'all should go check them out. And the tacos de carnitas, fire taco dinner. And then the top three would be La Internacional in the back of the yards, fire. The tacos are to die for, literally, because you get shot if you go there. But shit, it's worth every taco. I'll tell you that. I go in that motherfucker, and people already know who I am, so I gotta be in there quick. I'm like, hey, throw the money in the counter. I'm gone. I take the wrong order sometimes, but it's still worth it. Yeah, of course. I'm proud to say we're gonna have the Other Nino event on April 30th. For more information, we're going to be putting the flyer on social media. I don't know when this is gonna be aired, but if before the 30th, the flyer will be up. If after the 30th, then I hope the fans attended. The Other Nino event's going to be. I will be collaborating with St. Agatha Church and Wintrust Bank, the Young Lords, the Brown Berets, the White Panthers, and multiple other organizations to bring a day of joy to the children in our community. Free food, free games for the kids. We're gonna do an Easter egg hunt, and we're gonna be giving out a lot of gifts. And also another project we're working on that I'm proud to say is I'm starting a program on the west side of Chicago for South and North Lando called the AlmightyBlessing Arts Program, where we'll be taking in kids from 7 years old to 17 years old to be able to come and join our program for free completely, everything paid. We're going to take them on field trips around the city to see museums, to see stuff, to see monuments, all that stuff in our communities. And also we're gonna be teaching them how to explore their arts and how to be able to develop themselves artistically. In case they like to sing, they like to dance, they like to act, all that will be provided to them in my program completely for free. So if you know any kids that are willing to be part of this program, reach out to me. I'll get them right in. We'll also be providing 2 free meals, a free breakfast, and a free lunch, not just for the kids, but anybody that has kids in the community. Any kids in the community that are not part of my program can come to my program and eat for free. If you're hungry, come and eat. We'll give you some food. And a lot more projects to come. But also, I want to challenge all the rappers out there. Y'all, a lot of you get pressed that they call me the voice of Chicago and the voice of Little Village. I encourage y'all to take that name from me. Take it from me by doing this. I challenge y'all to start a program in your community, to start events in your community, to bring resources to your community, to help the kids out, to help the youth, to help the adults. Bring things to the community. Show me you deserve the names. Show me you deserve the title of the voice. I encourage you. I'll gladly give you the title if you can bring more resources to your community and help your youth. Because, hey, if we're going to start a challenge, let's do it right. Let's help our community. Let's make something good in our community where we can all help each other out. So I just dropped the song "All Is Well." That's a fire ass song. I wasn't gonna say it, but I am gonna tell y'all. I am getting back into the Spanish rap aspect of the rap game. For those of you who know the song "Suicidal Thoughts" for Biggie Smalls, I'm actually creating a project for Suicidal Thoughts in Spanish. So if y'all want to check that out, it's a fire song. It's already placed. I just need to record the music video and then drop it. Look out for that project. It's gonna be Suicidal Thoughts in Spanish. It's fire. Check it out. And I got an album we're working on already. The album's Heat. It's gonna be a name that's gonna explain what I'm doing as a controversial artist with the positive and the negative. Even though I don't see that as negative, they're both positive. But the way the people see it. So yeah, and like I said, stick around because Almighty Blessing is just starting. Yeah, so y'all could check me out as Almighty Blessing on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, all major platforms. You can find me as Almighty Blessing. And again, stay tuned because we got a lot of projects coming, and I'm pretty sure y'all gonna love it. Let's uplift our community.